Welcome back. Let's finish off testing our Google search functionality. Because with tests, the more you have, the better it is, in most cases anyway. Because these are never going to go into production, it's just for development purposes, it never hurts to have a lot of tests that cover a lot of scenarios, because that way we just cover our bases even more. And don't worry too much about repeating yourself, or the do not repeat yourself rule in programming when it comes to tests. It's okay to repeat yourself every once in a while, especially if it makes the tests really readable for other people reading your code. Once again, these are never going into production, so it's always better to have more tests than less tests. So let's test a few more cases with our Google search function. Let's say that we also want it to work with undefined and null input. And that we want to make sure that this function is going to work. And let me just copy this expect assertion. And within here in the Google search, I'm just going to say undefined. And we want that to equal an empty array. If we somehow get a weird entry or an undefined input from the user, we still want to return an empty array because maybe on the front end, we're still displaying an empty list. Let's save. And that passes. We now have 3 tests. And let's also test for the null case. Again, we'll copy this. And we'll test for null as well. All right. Our tests are passing. Perfect. And you can see how nicely outlined they are in Jest for us. Finally, we also want to check, if we look at our script, that we return no more than 3 matches. That's an important feature of our app. Once again, let's say it does not return more than 3 matches. And let me make more space for this so we can see. And once again, you can see a lot of repeating here, but it's good. We're writing tests. Let's say that, again, I'm just going to copy this because I am lazy to type. And we'll say that we want when we search .com, which all of these have, we want this to equal an array with 3 items. How can we do that? Again, this is just simple JavaScript. We can just do a dot length in the expect bracket, which will return, hopefully, 3, even though we're doing .com and has 4 items. Because of our function, it should return the length of 3. So let's test that. Look at that. Our test pass. And another advice here. Just because your test passes doesn't mean it's always correct. It's always good to start off by making your tests fail and then trying to make them work. Let's just make it fail by adding 4 in here and hit save. And all right, we see that we expected a value to equal 4, but we received 3. That's good. If we change that to 3, everything is good, and you can play around with the inputs a little bit more. I think you're starting to get this, right? It's not that bad. It doesn't look that intimidating. And yeah, when you look at other people's tests, there might be a few more methods that they add other than to be and to equal, but the basic principle is the same. We just have a function that we run tests in. That's it. One final thing. We can group all of these because remember, with our apps, things can get bigger and bigger and bigger. We can group tests that are similar, especially in this case, the ones that are doing Google search, with another function called the describe. And describe will say, describes the Google search. And this is the exact same way that the if block was described. The first parameter is a string that will be displayed on the test, and then the second one is a function. And we can enter all of these tests inside of this block. So now, if I save this, I see that the tests are grouped together. And I know that all these tests that we're running are under the Google search function. So that when we have hundreds of tests, we can see which ones are failing and where we want to target to fix our tests. All right, more exciting things in the next video. I'll see you in that one. Bye-bye.